Hi everyone, this is Shane R. Monroe, and before we look at Black Widow Recharged, let's take a quick peek at the original for comparison. Black Widow is a color vector display arcade game released by Atari in 1982. The player controls a Black Widow spider, combating creatures like mosquitoes, beetles, and hornets using a twin-stick controller setup where you can independently move in one direction while firing in another. It is wave-based, getting progressively harder with more and different powered enemies. Eggs can be laid by the enemies that gestate into a more powerful creature, but your spider can push the eggs off the web before they hatch. Picking up the grubstake dollar signs nets the player points, and they are worth more the faster that you get to them. In the arcade game, you get a certain number of lives, usually 3, and are awarded bonus lives based on reaching certain score objectives. The game has its fan base, but a lot of gamers may not have played it or even have heard of the game, as it really was a bit niche. Now, I'm a huge fan of twin-stick shooters, and this game specifically, so I'm excited to take a look at a modern version. Alright, so let's take a look at Black Widow Recharged. This is available for $10 on Steam. It's also available on Nintendo Switch. We're going to look at both versions today. And let's take a look at what we've got. We've got some challenges along with the arcade mode. So these are things that we can do extra above and beyond the arcade mode. Of course, what would a game be without achievements? And there are plenty of those as well. Let's scroll down and take a look at some of these. A lot of fun chasing those around. And of course, there are settings as well. And if you want to play with a different type of control system instead of twin-stick shooting, you can also use the move, point, and shoot scenario as well. But yeah, there's a lot to do in here, actually. And for $10, not too bad. But does it hold the value of the original? Does it change the IP a whole lot? I like these remakes when they don't change the base of the game, but they just make it a little bit more fun. So I recorded this separately. I found I can't talk and play at the same time very well. So I went ahead and recorded this ahead of time. So if I'm a little out of sync, I apologize. So as you can see, the core mechanics of the game are the same. You're running around as a spider and you are shooting down bugs, tagging grubstakes to get points. You'll also notice that in the bottom left, we're charging a super weapon, this web shooter thing, which we're going to look at later. And there are a diversity of enemies. Here we picked up a slowdown power-up. Power-ups are new to this version of Black Widow. You can see I just pushed an egg off the side there. So there's definitely, the core mechanics are still here. You can also see that periodically there will be pieces of the web that become impenetrable. You can't walk through them, and they tend to jump out in front of you pretty much when you least expect it. There are also bugs here that can be exploded. All right, so we just went through and did a super weapon, and you can see it's charging back up. We picked up another power-up. This is actually forcing all the enemies to run to the side of the web. It's like a little ghost pickup. There's a shield here as another bonus pickup, little power-up for you. And you can see that, I'm sure it's random, but it seems like those barriers pop up an awful lot just when you're going for something in particular and they get in your way, like you're seeing right here. Use that, that web weapon doesn't build up in number of accounts. So you'll want to go ahead and use that web weapon pretty much as soon as you got it charged up. At least in the early stages of the game, there's not a whole lot of reasons to use it because, as you can see, we're moving along pretty well, haven't died yet, and it's a good thing because you only get one life in this version of Black Widow. You can see the enemies are getting a little more tenacious. They're actually starting to fire back at you. The eggs are starting to become a little more prominent, so I'm going to go ahead and continue to use that web weapon. There are also enemies that explode, which you just saw, and frankly, those can kill you pretty easily if you're not paying close attention. Nicely enough, there is a visual indicator, as you can see on the edges of the screen, that will show you when a bug is coming out. Unfortunately, though, if you play like me, you're looking ahead to where you're shooting, not on your own body or the edges of the screen, which is how you end up getting yourself dead. You can also see that the colors are changing while I play, as to help you not confuse your spider with the other spiders. Well, listen, that's not too bad. We do have a leaderboard here, a worldwide leaderboard as well as a friend leaderboard. And so that's kind of nice to be able to have a leaderboard challenging. It's an arcade game, right? So what you want is to have some leaderboard competition. So here I am going to play some of the challenges. This is survive for 60 seconds. Now, the challenge here, of course, is you're surviving for 60 seconds only in slowdown mode. So right now I'm in slowdown mode, but eventually it'll clear, and I have to get another slowdown power-up, which I pick up here, and now we're slow and the counter goes back up. You would think in slow mode it would be pretty easy, but I played this a few times before I was able to complete it. Especially with all those explosive bugs floating around, it's real easy to get caught in that. Nope, just like that. I did manage to finish this though, but it's kind of neat to be able to have just a little bit something different. And the neat thing about this, where the challenges are different than achievements, is that it changes the board structure, right? So you start off with a whole bunch of eggs. The enemies are coming out differently. So it's not just a matter of, oh, do 60 seconds of this, but it's in the context of the rest of the game. In this case, they actually have a specific setup for you to play to achieve that particular challenge. So it's kind of fun. And yeah, and so there's a whole bunch of those to do as well. Let's see if I can finish this guy off. I'm doing pretty well here. And we'll look at another challenge as well after this one. The core mechanics, of course, are the same. All they're doing is setting up some parameters for you to actually execute a challenge. And I think I'm going to get it on this one here in just a moment. Again, you have to get to that power up without getting snaked. And I think we're almost there. All right, sweet, we did it. Challenge complete. And you also get a leaderboard. This is interesting. You get a leaderboard for the score that you obtained while doing that challenge. So how about that? So in some cases, it's not just about doing the challenge, it's also about getting the highest score possible. We have another one here called First Step, Bug Zapper, right? So it says kill 35 mosquitoes. So again, notice how the board changes, the setup changes. It's not being played the same way. You get different types of power-ups. So the challenges, well, let's be honest, the challenges look like basic filler. They really aren't. So they're not just achievements with a different name. Obviously that one was a little bit easier for me to complete, but it's really cool to have these additional challenges available to complement the arcade mode, which is fun on its own. You can also see that there's tons of them that are locked that you can't get to. Let's see if we can reach 1,700 points. Now this seems like it would be pretty easy, but you'll also notice, look at how the board is set up for this particular challenge. Constantly blocking areas of the web. And therein, of course, therein lies the challenge. See, I'm getting stuck left and right. I'm going to be an easy target. It's hard for me to get to that egg, and I'm dead again. So yeah, I mean, again, it's really easy to just sort of, you know, dismiss these challenges as just achievements in a different skin. But honestly, I kind of enjoyed these, and that's why I'm spending a little extra time talking about them. Because I think when you're looking at $10 for what is essentially a classic game conversion or a little bit of upscaling, a lot of people are like, wow, $10, that's a lot of money. It really isn't, but I understand. So it's nice to know what all you can do. Now, this game is also available on the Nintendo Switch, and the game is identical in terms of performance, in terms of what you get to do. All of the challenges are here, the achievements are here. You can change off the twin stick shooters, all that good stuff, but it is running native on the Switch. Now, obviously, if you're looking at the video like I am, you can tell that the Switch version is definitely a slight notch down in terms of visual quality, but that's not what's important about these sort of classic arcade style games. You're looking for speed, you're looking for frame rate, and you're looking for the overall fun factor. And you're good to go with this particular title here. And it plays great. I'm using the Pro Controller here, and I am in docked mode. I did not have an opportunity to look at it in portable mode. At least not on video, but I can assure you that it feels just as much fun in this mode, and you can take it with you on the Switch. And unless you're getting a Steam Deck later on like I am this year, then this is how you're going to be playing this new Black Widow on the go. So let's run around here a little bit. We've got all the same power-ups. We got the same sort of visual effects going on. It's a nice, clean version. It's not something that you're taking a step back. It's like, well, maybe should I get the PC version or should I get the Switch version? Listen, the Switch version plays great. It looks fine. Especially, it's going to even look better playing it in portable mode. It's just as frantic, has all the same stuff. So, listen, if you're really pining away trying to make that decision, I certainly wouldn't worry too much about it. I like this burst one where you got all these. It's like running a shotgun with this spider. It's awesome. Watch me knock those eggs off like a pro, huh? You notice how the web weapon also knocks the eggs out too. If you don't get them off the edge, you can always use your web weapon there to do so. And those guys, if you're wondering, you know, if the eggs open up, they turn into really bigger bad guys. You really want to get rid of them. But yeah, see, it looks great. You also have these wave of bugs that come out periodically, so there's a little bit of something different as the game moves on. I mean, I got that scare one. Oh, see, you got me from the bottom. I wasn't paying attention. Now, also in this, brand new to this edition is co-op play. My son and I are going to sit here and play 2 players. Now, on the Switch, this is local co-op, by the way, regardless of which version that you get. So in local co-op mode, you have 2 controllers, and you each play a spider independently. You can see my son and I are both playing. This is a combined score. So you're not in competition. It's definitely co-op, but you do get your own weapon, right? So you do have your own spider web, and you also pick up power-ups independently. So if you get the burst shot, then only you get it. Your buddy doesn't get it. And although there are some that are shared, of course, right? Slow down is slow for everybody. So how does this affect the gameplay? I mean, how does this affect everything playing with another person? We had a really good time. I mean, I wasn't sure if Brian would get into it, my son would get into it, but I think he enjoyed it. And this is one of those things where it gets so frantic moving forward. You sort of take turns. You start communicating. I'll use my web now. You use yours later. You work at the right side of the map. I'll work the left side of the map. So there's a little bit of strategy involved. But at the heart of it, it's still just a plain wave-based arcade shooter, and it's a lot of fun. We had a good time with it. And we did very well. We're going to skip ahead here a little bit because we played for quite a while. You can see we're up in the 12,000 score here. I didn't want to let you guys watch the entire thing. It would have taken forever. But this also lets you see some more of the wave-based stuff. Notice we took it out with a web. Pretty cool. And yeah, and so if you die, then you can pick up a revive power-up that'll pick your buddy up. But you have to live long enough for that new power-up to appear. And we saw that earlier. Dead and dead. Well, listen, I hope you enjoyed this quick look at Black Widow Recharged. It's $10. Listen, arcade stuff like this is fantastic. I'm really glad to see that properties like this are getting a second chance in the modern market. Well, listen, folks, I hope you enjoyed it. Please like the video, subscribe, hit the little bell to get notified of other videos coming up later. I'm Shane R. Monroe, and as always, we are so pleased that you've chosen to watch our videos, and thank you so much for your subscriptions. It means a lot.